you have to think bigger. If you think this is what you're going to do, this is your project, this is your dream, okay? When I hear that, I always tell them, I don't believe it. Call me back tomorrow morning after you think about what you really want to do and ramp it up 10 notches. Get out, right? You don't need the phone. The phone's going to give you a headache, and it's probably causing a lot of your anxiety. Right. And who gives a shit, right?
Who actually cares? Yeah.
So who actually cares, right? Go make some, real human relationships.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 9 of the Success Series. I am your host, David Berg. I'm here with our co-host, Michael Konofsky. Our guest today is Mike Patterson. Mike was my first boss and really gave me an opportunity in the workforce. I started as his assistant and then went into sales. Mike is a serial entrepreneur with many exits. He has a great story and a spiritual component to it too. Mike, pleasure having you on today.
Hey, thank you.
Absolutely. We'd love if you could just guide us through your journey to where you are today professionally and how that started.
Yeah, Mike Patterson. I've always considered myself mostly a salesman, right? And, we started off pretty young, kind of exceeding in sales, right? And, then after I had some success there and I understood that sales is really the most important component of our organization, I decided since I'm going to be doing all the sales, I might as well own the company, right? So, I've been working pretty much since I was 7, 8 years old, not managing, but I pretty much did everyone in the neighborhood's yard, did all the old people's snow when I was growing up in Toledo, Ohio. Odd jobs, had I think a bike repair shop when I was, 8 years old. Always buying and selling things, trading things, all the way up till, I had my first jobs and I was allowed to work as a dishwasher when I was 14, then a busboy, then a car wash, then a waiter, bartender. I pretty much worked R&D, as a helper. I've had over 30 different types of jobs, I think, which... Well, yeah. I was like, but I've been actively employed since I was 14. I would say, when I was legally allowed to, right? Growing up, It was always, I lived in a decent, like middle class neighborhood, right? But we were barely there. So the lesson from my mom was, look, if you want a Polo or an Izod, go make the money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I got used to making money and I liked it. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And when did you know that you were not going to work for somebody else and that this is just what you're going to do? You're going to build your own companies.
I would say when I was 20 years old, I was an intern at a commodity shop over the summer at Garvey Commodities. And at Garvey Commodities, we worked at the Chicago Board of Trade, and we were allowed to trade our own accounts. I think I was styling with about $10,000 in savings then. And I was trading for myself, also because we were allowed to. And I started making money, and I started making, decent money. I was bar backing still at night, you know what I mean? So I think I was getting paid $3.35 an hour, but running my own account, I was making, close to $500, $600 a day. So that was kind of good. So I got a taste for that. Got a job at a brokerage firm. And because I had been selling so much, I eventually bought that brokerage firm, in cash and, and grew it. So I grew it from, there was just 7 people there. I grew it to about 35 people. Yeah, it was big, but it was, I had little to no consciousness back then.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I was it was all about cash. I was like, 24, 25, had the Mercedes and the Lexus, you know what I mean? Wearing the suspenders, just not a good person. And And, then of course, because I think a part of it was the consciousness, that all went bad, right? Ended up losing that, getting, like when I was 27, stocks took a hit. I made some bad buy decisions on the bonds, and I ended up being, when I was 27, about negative $5 million in the hole.
Just from the stocks?
Yeah. And so, I remember, and of course I had, all kinds of issues then. And of course my wife was pregnant and, at the time. And so I, decided, I was going to just start another business. Right. And cell phones were getting hot. So I found this FedCel, which was the first kind of, time I got into software, and, ended up going a completely different route than I had expected. Instead of selling cell phones, okay, I was listening to the customer, which is important. So in Columbus, Ohio, where I was, because I went to Ohio State University, there was a lot of big companies, Cardinal Health, okay, The Limited, Abercrombie and Fitch, right? Then up north, Ford, GM, Chrysler, right? I think it was Daimler Chrysler at the time. So I went and I sold, I would try to sell them cell phones, and they say, well, look, we got such a mess with our cell phones,
sure,
right? We can't keep track of them. I go, well, we could write some software that would keep track of your spend, try to reduce that spend, and everyone went for that. And so I ended up, eventually getting every one of those companies I mentioned, plus a good part of the government, and turned around and sold that company for $16 million. So that was
paid off the debt, one problem.
Paid off the debt and everything else, right? Started another company, also in software with cell phones, called S Mobile. Still no consciousness. I'm out for myself. Oh, no consciousness at all. It was all about me personally winning. I wasn't looking for everyone to win. I wasn't looking for success, right? I was trying to make the money to feed something more animal, I had no intentions of what I was going to do. I wasn't doing it to do good, even to make my partners or shareholders money. It was all about me, right? Did another company. It was fantastic. Right after that, still no consciousness, called S Mobile, right? Software for mobile phones, antivirus software before there was even viruses, but we wrote up a lot of patents. That company sold to Juniper for in the 70 something million. Now, of course, this is only 3 years later, you know what I mean? But because once again, my payoff was very, very little, okay? And I made bad decisions, and I'm still thinking, okay, what am I doing wrong here? Because I'm obviously finding these concepts, right? Then one of my buddies introduced me to a guy in New York City who is like a Goldman Sachs guy, and this guy, I met him again 6 months later. He went from being one of the biggest assholes you could possibly imagine to being a sweet guy, smiling all the time. And I asked what he had done, and he had said, "Look, I've been going to these Kabbalah meetings." We met for a drink, and then I went to Lexington and 48th. I went to the center for a night session, and I was immediately hooked. And it was David Guillaume was speaking. Mary Ruth was my mentor at the table at the time, which was pretty cool. And I just jumped into it, and then I went to a 3-day Soho House kind of session. And of course, I had another company going, this time though, it was called InAuth, and we were running software and selling it to banks and credit card companies. And that one we sold for much more than all the other companies combined. But I did have the consciousness to make the right decisions, right? I was thinking really about what I wanted to do and powerful things I could do for the world, and for the community, for my family, and making sure that every shareholder made money.
When you say you were hooked right away to Kabbalah, what hooked you? What was the initial thought of it?
It's kind of like you can sense the truth in it, right? Like with some things you can feel that, this is the wishy-washy. It just felt like it was the roadmap, right? That was true, right? Everything about it was getting certainty to make the right decisions, right? restricting against things that you shouldn't be doing in the first place, and then having the correct consciousness. When I say consciousness, which I mean you're the correct thoughts, the correct information coming in your brain, coming out of your mouth, right, to the point where you can eventually, control what you think, and get to the point where you're only saying beautiful things, which is what you want to be doing, and thinking beautiful things, which I think is even more important.
You achieved success before studying Kabbalah. You had 2 successful exits prior.
Mm-hmm.
Why was there an opening for spirituality in your life if you already had monetary success?
I've even though I didn't have the proper consciousness, which the Kabbalah Center gave me, right? I was still spiritual, but I didn't have a way to funnel that spirituality into a daily program, a routine, right? So now, what I've developed over that time is a routine in a way that I connect more consciously with the Creator throughout the day, right? And I think that has really, really helped me. So I actually, there is a little book called 8 Weapons, which kind of spells out how I do connect, right?
Is it available on Amazon? Where can we?
You can buy it at the Kabbalah Center.
At the Kabbalah Center.
Yeah, at the bookstore online, yeah.
And so we heard the beginning and the end of your journey. I'm sure there was many challenges throughout that often people don't see. They see the nice car, they see the Ferrari, they don't see the work that went in. What were the biggest challenges you went through in your professional journey?
There's always comfort that becomes a challenge. So look, if you're not exhausted, if you're not working hard enough, you should know it. Everything that is a startup, people say, oh, I'm in startups, I want to be an entrepreneur and everything else. It's a pain in the ass, right? It's a pain in the ass every day. Things go wrong constantly. Like right now, I'm the CEO and founder of Battle Motors, right? There's parts crises every single day. We have still been able to triple sales 3 years in a row, okay? But there's nonstop challenges, right? And so it is saying, it's simple, but it's not easy, right? And you cannot get comfortable. Getting comfortable, is an issue. You have to be working harder, aiming higher. And I think with a lot of young guys, because I know you guys send a lot of young guys over to see me.
Right.
You have to think bigger. If you think this is what you're going to do, this is your project, this is your dream, okay? When I hear that, I always tell them, I don't believe it. Call me back tomorrow morning after you think about what you really want to do and ramp it up 10 notches. Ramp it up, right? Go bigger. And that's, I think, the number one is, you have to have confidence in yourself, right? And you have to shoot higher.
If one doesn't have confidence at 19, 20 years old, what's the quickest way they can build that?
Start doing what you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to do, 100 push-ups, do 101, right? If you say you're going to finish this book by the end of the week, finish it. Then you're going to start believing yourself. Before you can have other people believe you, you have to believe what's coming out of your own mouth. So start fulfilling what you tell yourself you're going to do personally.
Right.
Right?
Sales aside, what are your best skill sets that have led to your success?
No, I'm just saying, no, I'm not. I'm just saying the things that I enjoy. I love to paint, right? I love to write music, right? I love to learn. So I think my skill set is learning. And also, I have to say that, like, pretty much team building. If you look at the team that I put together in all my companies, it's always the best people in each industry, right? Like at Battle Motors, it's the best chief revenue officer, right? The best CTO, the best CFO, the best head of production, right? So you have to be able to recruit people. Then once again, that all starts with your confidence in yourself. If you have the confidence in yourself, right? Okay. And I say, look, you got to come work for me. This company's going to be huge. You have to believe me, right? And so before I can say that, I have to believe it myself, right? So recruiting. There you go.
You've raised money many times. I even often go to you for guidance on how to do that. Where does that come from? Is it a natural gift you were born with? How do you get better at it?
Well, it's easier for me because I've had a couple wins, right? So it's easier for me to then call upon the same people and do that again, or to ask them if they have friends if they're not liquid at the time, right? But the whole thing is, it is sales, right? You have to believe in your product, right? You have to call them. You have to call them back. You have to tell them they're going to make money, and you have to say it with confidence. And you have to then show them how they're going to make money. So it's a matter, just like everything else is, of making a list and checking everything off and knowing where you're going, right?
How do you balance, you have a family, an 8-figure business, you do other stuff, you sing, you paint. Where do you find the time to do all those things?
I don't golf. I don't watch TV.
That's time consuming.
But I'm doing everything that I love to do, right? I do everything I love, right? I'm doing everything that I love. I mean, why not, right? Who's going to stop me?
So if somebody tells you, I don't have the time in the day to go to the gym, to do this, what would be your answer to that?
Well, what are you doing between, 6 and 8 in the morning, right? What do you, yeah, you know what I mean, right? What are you doing, between, 8 and 10? We'll find the time. If you want it. See, that's the thing. I talked to someone about that this morning. Laid out a couple of excuses why something wasn't happening for him. And I go, the real issue is you don't want it enough, okay, to do the work, right? So I was just been on the road for 10 days.
Yeah.
Just eating a bunch of garbage. So I'm in a 72-hour fast right now, like we talked about before. You know what I mean? So, I want to get, I want to drop those 10 pounds. So, I'm putting in the work. Is it comfortable? No, it's not comfortable, right? But, I've already lost 9 pounds. So,
that's incredible.
So what?
3 days?
3 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's putting in the work, being uncomfortable, right? If you want something, right? It's not easy, but go get it.
Do you believe in timelines? Like you have to spend 10 years doing something to monetize, to have a success through it. It takes 5 years, or do you just believe that things happen when you want them badly enough?
Well, I know you get better at it, right? You get better at it, right? After you've done things, just like everything else, right? Whatever you're doing, if you're going to make a bed, right? If you're going to make some eggs, right? You're going to get better at it, right? So it doesn't have to be. It depends on how good, like specifically with like starting a business, how good the idea is, right? And I've always found it's easier to sell or start something that people need, like garbage trucks, right? Like antivirus software, right? Then things that are just kind of cool, like anything with social media, or online retail, which I'm no good at, right? But things that are necessary, things that can save you money or make you money, right? Or protect you. Those are great things to sell.
Right. Thankfully, I have you as a mentor. A lot of the people that are listening to this don't have any access to individuals that are successful. Mm-hmm. Where would you say they look for guidance, for support?
But number one, David is, I would say, one of the top 3 hunters, salespeople that I've ever met in my entire life, and I know everybody. So tremendous job, tremendous work ethic on your side. You just don't see these days, really. Just out there killing it and working very hard. So you're putting in the work. Look, I didn't have a lot of positive role models when I was growing up either. Like some people don't, right? There's books, okay, people? Autobiographies. Get the autobiographies on the guys, the barrier, what are they called? The barons, the Rockefellers of the world, right? There's a great book called Titan, okay? Look at P.T. Barnum and how he did it, right? You can get all that information out of good biographies. And so if you have the time and you want to know how to build a business, every single major billionaire, there's probably a book out there on him or her.
You recommended many books to me, Think and Grow Rich, many others.
Oh, yeah.
What would be your top 3 to our audience?
I can't forget, number 1, Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand.
Okay.
Right? Titan, about Rockefeller, right? Is a great book. If we're sticking just to business, then I would go the whole Napoleon Hill series, everything, all about all the greatest salesmen in the world, and all those little cool books. The best books of all time, though, are the first 6 books of Dune. So check those out. All the ones written by Frank Herbert.
Right.
very good mix of powerful spirituality in there and a great story and a lot of just life lessons, business lessons.
On that note, do you think one can be happy without spirituality?
Yeah, I think they absolutely can be, but I don't think that they can be happy, okay, but they're not living up to their potential and they're not necessarily fulfilled, right? They can be happy, but this level of happiness versus this level of happiness, right? So it's like this, like I think your dad has said, like if you don't go find the creator will find you. Or as the Muslims say, if you take one step towards the creator will take two towards you. So you might as well take a step and see what happens.
Absolutely. And so on that, we won't get too much into that front of it, but you've explored many different forms of spirituality, Kabbalah being the latest. Where did that desire come from at a younger age?
I was an altar boy starting when I was like 7 years old, right? Catholic. And I think I was going to church at one point 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
5 days a week with my class. With my class, number one. Then as an altar boy, 4 out of 5 of the days, and then on Sunday with my family. So I think that was like good. I think that was like good, but I just felt, I felt a good connection. And so I was like, maybe an unusual kid, but I was reading. I read everything. I even read Dianetics. I mean, I've read everything pretty much on Mormonism. I'm interested in Native American, Mayan. So it's just kind of fascinating. Anything that, I think is leading you to the creator, right, is interesting. Because if you think of it all, at the end of the day, there's just one God. And it's the same God. And that's why I think everything is funny if people are fighting about religion. It's the same God.
Right.
Right?
We're all talking about the same thing. We just
so it's all good.
We see Mike Patterson today. We see the successful individual that you are and the kind person that you are, willing to help. Is there fear there? Do you ever wake up some mornings and say, I don't know how I'm going to figure this out? And if so, how do you overcome that?
No, there's no fear. No, because at the end of the day, there's we're all going to die, right? At the end of the day, there's me and the creator. And if, you know what I mean? So, what can you possibly do to me? Right? I have the creator still.
Were you always like that when you were in your 20s? Was there that certainty as well?
For some reason there was.
Really? It's incredible.
Yeah. Going back further, but you can have certainty and do the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Sure. You got to have like crazy confidence. I'm sure we all know people with crazy confidence who are doing absolutely something ridiculously wrong, right? So having just a certainty alone, right, is not enough. Your scale's off, right? You have to have the correct consciousness, which comes from saying and thinking, right, and praying, right, and being in touch and cleaving to the creator that gives you that central column, that purposeful, right, certainty. You have to have certainty that is focused, that is
otherwise
on the right path. Right. Otherwise, you have certainty. I can have certainty, right, that I'm driving to Nobu, right, and I could be going completely the opposite way. You know what I mean? It's
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Right. So we mentioned fear. Almost every 20-year-old today has anxiety, fear, depression, right? I mean, the list is so long. What would be your advice to them to just snap out of it and start to live a life where they're fulfilled and happy? And
no one's going to want to do it. Yeah. But take your phone, put your phone away, okay, for a certain period of the day, right? Put your phone away, right? Okay, read a book or crazy, okay? Go out, okay? Put your phone away, go out. Go out, meet new people, take yourself out of the comfort that you may be in from laying on your bed and looking at your phone for hours at night, and go out and meet people, right? Go out and talk to people, right? Put the phone away for hours at a time. And here's a cool thing. You don't even have to call it restriction. If someone texts you, okay, you don't have to reply to them right away. Right? Reply to all your messages, you know what I mean? Unless you're, expecting something from friends or something. Reply to all your messages at one time a day. Treat it like email, right? don't put that phone down and go meet real people. Really.
That's huge. Nobody does. Nowadays, everybody's on their phone. You're sitting like this.
It's literally no fun. Just listen to music. You know what I mean? Read a book. Go meet people.
Be human.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
So neglected
It
nowadays.
doesn't have to be. I'm not asking you to go to nature. I'm saying go explore a city. Like, go explore a major city, right? Go to coffee shops. Go to bars, right? Whatever. But get out. Get out, right? You don't need the phone. The phone's going to give you a headache, and it's probably causing a lot of your anxiety. Right. And who gives a shit, right?
Who actually cares? Yeah.
So who actually cares, right? Go make some, real human relationships.
Right. You're always pushing Moshe and I to go have more fun. You've been saying that since we started working for you 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Is there a balance between having fun and making money, or do the two work very well with each other?
It depends. Like, I'm not saying I'm saying go out. You're single. You're in your 20s. Go out 4 nights a week, right? If you're going to work from 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning till 6 at night, that's enough. Right. That's 12 hours. If you're going to work till 4 even, let's go. Go meet friends for dinner and then go out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Drink more coffee.
I love that.
Drink more coffee, right? Work out, right? Get out. I'll tell you what, if you're tired after work, okay, don't go right home.
Yeah.
Go out.
Stay out.
If you're out, stay out, right?
Did you know you were going to be successful when you were in your 15, 16, 17 years old?
Oh, yeah.
There was no doubt.
No doubt. Mm-hmm.
If somebody has a doubt, should they?
Yeah. So like I'll tell them to get into sales.
Yeah.
If you're into sales, you're usually not limited, right? If you're in IT fixing something, you're going to be limited. How much you can make, how many things you can fix, you're not going to be satisfied. If you're in sales, it's like the one job where no one's going to be able to say, okay, you can only sell this much, right? So, yeah. And once again, if you're saying it's hard to find a job, it's not hard to find a sales job.
Everybody wants more sales.
Everyone wants. And if, and you can get to the top of any sales industry, and then you can trade up for another job where if you're really that good at it, they'll pay you to come over, right? And then build your way out.
What's the key to be a good salesman?
Listening, right? So instead of coming in and going right to your pitch, and this is what I have and it's beautiful, you go, I'd love to hear what you are looking for first, right? What would you like to talk about, right? So sometimes some of the biggest deals I've ever closed, right? They've looked at the table and they've said, okay, who's the salesperson here, right? They don't even know that this is a sales meeting, right? Because it's they're talking about themselves and what they want, right? And then when they are done, you say, I'm going to repeat this back to you because I've been taking notes, right? I take notes with paper, not on the phone, okay? And a pen. Okay, so this is exactly what you want? Okay, all right. Let me come back to you with a quote on that.
Exact advice you gave me when we're sitting in the room.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So, they don't care what you're selling. It's the same thing. What would you like? What are you looking for? Ask questions and then listen.
Absolutely. Yeah. You put me in that room many times and that's the, right? I mean,
that's right, buddy.
I didn't know that was the case. Well, the last question we ask our guests is, and I know you ride on your own wave and you don't care much what others think about you, but if there's one thing that from the get-go you would tell people if they said, who is Mike Patterson? How would you answer that question?
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah. We'll cut it out and come back to that.
I would say he's an artist at this point. Yeah.
Because that applies to every area of your life, right?
Yeah. I like making shit. Right? They say the creator does two things, make shit and gives it away. Right? Never wants anything back. Right? So there you go. Try to be like the creator.
Awesome. Mike, it's been an absolute
That's fun, buddy. Good to see you.
Good to see you. We appreciate it as always. Guys, if you enjoyed, share with your friends and comment. Mike's been a mentor to me and he's always accessible if you have a big enough of a desire.
You want to come in here for a minute?
Yeah, we'll have Josh come in here.
Come here, Josh.
Josh wanted to actually ask a question. So we'll...
Josh, you have one or two questions you want to fire off?
Here, come take the mic.
Anything you want to know about my dog?
Hey everyone, if you're enjoying the video, please leave a like, comment, and share with friends. In a moment, you will hear a few words from David's brother Josh. Josh was born with Down syndrome, but he has not let that limit him in any way, in shape or form. In fact, he used it as a jumping board to excel in life. Prior to the interview, Josh asked to be involved in this podcast. So here he is.
How many years do you work with David?
David, 13 years now.
What work do you accomplish in your life?
Building 5 companies, right, from scratch, right? Buying a company that's been around since 1946 and growing it substantially, right? Over 200 paintings, 1.5 albums, right, recorded and released, right? And raising 3 genius children, right? I think it's been a good part of the work, right?
Yeah. Why this company wants you in it?
Well, I think it's because I know what to do.
Why? Like how do you build so many wisdom and light in your life?
Because I think it's, Josh, I think it's because I'm always trying to learn, right? And I don't have to have the best idea. Well, I think it's because I know what to do.
Why? Like how do you build so many wisdom and light in your life?
Because I think it's, Josh, I think it's because I'm always trying to learn, right? And I don't have to have the best idea. I'll ask a lot of other smart people, right? What they think I should do. So if I don't know, I'll go ask an expert, right? So I think that's been helpful. I don't have to be right. I'm not right even half the time, right? So I'll ask wiser people, right? All right.
Yeah. My last question is how long you want to do this until you finally know which path you want to do for your next chapter of your life?
I think this is what I do. Is do one and then do another and do another and do another, right? Who knows what it'll be next, right? Maybe movies, right? Maybe fashion, right? It's just whatever is the most interesting where you can learn, right? I'm also into welding now for some reason.
Really, why?
Because I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know how to do it. You know what I mean? I like to make things, right?
Like to make things happen?
Yeah. Or build things.
Yeah. Things.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Good to talk to you again.
Good session.
All right.
Awesome.